I have played hundreds of games in the rec center with complete randoms, and I'm still consistently scoring 30, 40, or even 50 points a game while only missing 1 or 2 shots. Now yes, shooting in NBA 2K22 is much easier than it was last year. That means that having a high 3-point rating isn't nearly as important this time around. What is still important though are the shooting badges you decide to use on your player. That's why in this video, I'm going to be sharing what I think to be the best badges for shooting in NBA 2K22. There are a few things I want to go over before we get into the shooting badges though. For example, in my opinion, your position and playstyle should also determine which shooting badges you should use. Having a badge like Corner Specialist on a high level might be a good choice for a build that sits in a corner, but maybe not so good for someone who primarily handles the ball. So although there will be a separate video coming soon for spot-up shooters, this video will strictly cover the top 5 shooting badges for point guards and other primary ball handlers. I also want to mention that even though I made the charts and graphs, all the data and analytics gathered in this video are courtesy of NBA 2K Lab. I'll make sure to leave a link to their channel in the description below. Again, huge shout out to those guys because this video wouldn't be possible without their hard work. Finally, although I'm using analytics to back up my claims, this is still my opinion. If you feel that a badge should be ranked higher on the list, or if there's a badge that didn't make it at all, feel free to discuss it in the comment section below. Now that all of that is out of the way, without further ado, let's get into the top 5. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have the Hot Zone Hunter badge. Just like in previous years, this badge will give you a boost to any shots taken within a player's hot zones. Shooting in your hot zones without the Hot Zone Hunter badge isn't actually going to help you that much this year. The real magic starts to happen once you have that badge equipped. Here's a chart that shows the effect of Hot Zone Hunter at each badge level. This test was run on a player shooting 200 shots at 10 millisecond intervals with an 85 3-point rating. By looking at the graph, we can see that this badge gives you a significant boost when timing at the edge of the green window. Bronze gives you a decent boost at around 515 milliseconds, but that boost is almost non-existent everywhere else. And it's a very similar story when it comes to silver. Having this badge on Hall of Fame appears to give you the largest boost throughout the green window, but as you can see, it's not that much of a difference from having it on gold. Because of this, my recommendation is to equip Hot Zone Hunter on gold. You're still going to be getting a considerable boost in your make percentage compared to bronze and silver, and since you'll be getting virtually the same results as Hall of Fame, you might as well save the badge points. By having Hot Zone Hunter on gold, you'll get up to a 12% increase in your make percentage when shooting in your hot zones. And this is going to be when you have a slightly early release, which is in that 505 to 515 millisecond range. Even when your timing gets a little better and you move closer to the center of the green window, you'll still see up to a 6% increase in your make percentage with gold Hot Zone Hunter. That's why I think gold is the sweet spot for this badge. Now remember, this is the conclusion I came up with. I'm showing you these graphs so that you can look at them yourself and come up with your own opinions if you happen to disagree with mine. But in my opinion, Hot Zone Hunter is a great badge to use, especially at the gold level, and that's why it's at the number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4, we have Stop and Pop. This badge will give you a boost to standstill threes taken immediately after dribbling. Getting Stop and Pop to activate is actually pretty simple. First, simply point your left stick in any direction to start moving. Next, come to a complete stop, and as soon as your player is in a stationary position, you can shoot the ball. If that shot happens to go in, Stop and Pop will activate in the upper right corner. As long as you're taking a standstill 3 and it's not a moving shot or a fadeaway, Stop and Pop will activate and give you a boost to that attempt. And as you can expect, the higher you have this badge, the bigger that boost will be. This badge will be beneficial for primary ball handlers, but it'll also be helpful for spot-up builds since you don't necessarily have to use the right stick for the badge to trigger. The sole reason why the Stop and Pop badge is at the number 4 spot on my list is how often it activates. That's why if you have a build that frequently shoots the ball, I'd recommend having this badge on the highest level possible, with silver being the absolute minimum. Coming in at the number 3 spot, we have Blinders. With this badge equipped, any jump shots taken with the defender closing out from the side will receive a lesser penalty. After all the data was collected and I finally got a chance to see it on a chart in front of me, I think this badge is really only noticeable when it's on Hall of Fame. The biggest boost you'll see on bronze is only about 2%. Silver only has one decent sized boost of about 7%, and that's in a 525 millisecond range. Everywhere else, that boost is going to be too small for the average person to even notice it. Gold gets a decent boost at the start of the green window, and another one near the end at about 545 milliseconds, but that's about it. Hall of Fame seems to be the only level where you get a considerable boost regardless of how well you're timing your shot within that green window. So if you have a primary ball handler that doesn't have any green in their pie chart and they can't get Hall of Fame shooting badges, if it were me, I would skip the blinders badge altogether. Now, if for whatever reason you have a few shooting badges left over and you absolutely want to have blinders on your build, even though it's not as effective as Hall of Fame, you should still be able to see in-game results by having it on gold. But again, in my opinion, if you're not able to get it on the Hall of Fame, I think you'll be just fine with skipping this one. Speaking of Hall of Fame blinders, if you're timing your jump shot near the edge of the green window, you can expect to see boosts anywhere from 7 to 13%. And this is going to be on those slightly early and slightly late releases. As you get closer to the center of the green window, you'll start to see anywhere from a 14% boost all the way up to a whopping 17% boost in your make percentage when defenders are closing out from the side. Again, you're only going to see this type of performance from the Hall of Fame level of this badge, but that Hall of Fame level happens to be one of the most powerful badges in this game. As you can see from the gameplay in the background, unless they happen to be a lockdown defender, I'm pretty much unaffected by anyone who tries to close out on me. You'll be able to make a lot more contested shots with this badge equipped, and unless you plan on taking nothing but wide open shots, I think it's an essential badge for all shooters, especially primary ball handlers. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Mismatch Expert. I like to think of this badge as the shooting version of Giant Slayer. For those of you familiar with Giant Slayer, when it comes to finishing over defenders in the paint, the taller the defender, the bigger the boost you're going to see on your shot attempts. Mismatch Expert is no different in this regard. Players with this badge equipped will have much more success when shooting over taller defenders. So for example, when shooting over a defender that's 4 inches taller than you, at its peak, you can expect up to an 8% boost in your shot percentage. If a defender is 7 inches taller than you, that'll increase up to a 13% boost. Now this badge was recently patched a few weeks ago, and before the patch, we saw up to a 19% boost when shooting over defenders that were 10 inches taller than you. This was brought down to around 12% at its peak, which is still a decent sized boost in my opinion. Now, if we look at the graph, we can see that the results are pretty linear. So for the most part, you'll notice a steady increase at each badge level, with Hall of Fame being the best, of course. If you want to save a few badge points, it looks like there might be a few ranges towards the first half of the green window where silver and gold provide virtually the same results. The choice is ultimately up to you, but personally, I like to use this badge on Hall of Fame to get the best results possible. Like I mentioned before, the size of your player also plays a role in how high you should equip this badge. The build you see in the background is a 6'3" playmaking shot creator. So unless I'm running a lot of pick and roll, I might not be able to see this badge's full potential. However, I recently made another playmaking shot creator that's 6'1", and since that build is a little shorter, once I get all of my badges, I'm sure Hall of Fame Mismatch Expert will be a lot easier to notice. So if you have a short point guard that can shoot the ball, I would definitely recommend giving Mismatch Expert a try. Before we get to the number 1 spot, I want to quickly give a few honorable mentions. These are going to be badges you tack on if you have a few extra points left over. The first honorable mention goes to Deadeye. This badge essentially has the same effect as Blinders. The only difference is that Blinders activates when defenders are closing out from the side, and Deadeye triggers when defenders close out directly in front of you. I didn't include this badge in the top 5 because if I had to choose between the two, I'd say that Blinders would be a little bit more beneficial. Many people say that Deadeye never pops up for them in the upper right corner, but it does get the honorable mention for me because in the past, there have been quite a few contested shots I've made with the help of Deadeye, and I personally run it on gold. The next honorable mention goes to Chef. This badge is basically like Limitless Range from previous years, except it's exclusive to shots taken off the dribble from 30 feet out. It didn't make my top 5 because the requirements are too strict, and unless you have it on Hall of Fame, it's not really worth it in my opinion. I have seen some people make it work though, so that's why I included it in the honorable mentions. Next, we have Lucky number 7. This badge will give you a boost to any jump shot taken within the first 7 seconds of the shot clock. Not only is this one of the most underrated shooting badges, but to me, this is one of the best low-level badges in the game overall. You really only need to have this badge on bronze to see the effect in game, so I recommend everyone spend that 1 badge point on lucky number 7, and every now and then you'll get a boost to your make percentage just by shooting within the first few seconds of the shot clock. Another honorable mention for primary ball handlers is catch and shoot. Now, even though you'll have the ball in your hands for most of the possession, you still may get a few catch and shoot opportunities throughout a game. This could be on a fast break, an inbound situation, or even in a half-court setting. Having this badge on bronze as a primary ball handler will be a safe bet, but you can feel free to go higher depending on your playstyle. The same goes for corner specialists. Again, since I'm a primary ball handler, you'd assume that I wouldn't find many opportunities to shoot in the corner. But when those opportunities do arise, I want to give myself the best chance at making that shot. So I would still recommend you put this badge on at least bronze, but gold is also a viable option if you're similar to me and you take a lot of shots from the corner. Alright, so coming in at the number 1 spot, of course, we have Sniper. This badge basically gives you a big penalty when shooting early or late releases, but on the flip side, it gives you a big boost when shooting slightly early or slightly late releases. So it penalizes you for bad timing and rewards you for good timing. In my opinion, if you ever plan on shooting the ball, this badge should be on at least bronze at all times. If you have a build that can get Hall of Fame shooting badges, I would definitely recommend having this badge on Hall of Fame, but if you can only get gold badges, Gold Sniper is also a great choice. The only 2 levels I would not recommend having this badge on are going to be None and Silver. The boost that you get from just Bronze Sniper is too big to pass up on in my opinion, and the difference from Bronze to Silver isn't enough to justify that upgrade. In the gameplay you see in the background, I'm using a Hall of Fame Sniper, and because I know how to properly time my jump shot, this is giving me a huge boost every time I shoot the ball. As long as you're timing your jump shot somewhere within the green window, you can expect to receive a decent sized boost to your make percentage with the Sniper badge equipped. So again, if you can get Hall of Fame shooting badges, I'd recommend Sniper on either Bronze or Hall of Fame, and if you can't get Hall of Fame shooting badges, I'd recommend either Bronze or Gold. Nonetheless, Sniper is definitely the most essential shooting badge to have in 2K22. Now, as I mentioned before, this is just my opinion. There may be certain badges that people live by, like Green Machine for example, and as you can tell from the gameplay, every single shot has been a green release, and because I know how to properly time my jump shot, I'm able to consistently do this without the Green Machine badge. So what might work for me might not work for you. In any event though, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Feel free to leave a like on the video if it helped you out, and also while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video, which is going to be the top 5 shooting badges for spot up shooters. Until next time, I'm out.